Yeah, we might go to a movie theater to go see a movie, or watch from the coziness of our mom's basement. We all know that before a movie starts, there's a plethora of Hollywood studio logos being thrown at you, usually to dramatic music. But do you know that there are stories behind these logos? They aren't just pretty to look at, there's some meaning behind them. Let us enlighten your mind and get comfy for some story time. Here are 10 true stories behind Hollywood studio logos. But before we go behind the scenes of Hollywood, here's your chance to make the wacky part of your life with minimal commitment. Why can't all relationships be like that? All you need to do is hover your mouse over that red subscribe button and click on it. If you've ever had epic dreams of being officially the first comment on a video, then click that little gray bell to turn on notifications. MGM. Give us your best lion roar on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. So, this logo for Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer is well over 100 years old. The logo originated in 1916 and was created by Howard Dietz. Nothing pumps you up more than watching a lion roar before a movie. Dietz chose the lion so he could pay tribute to his alma mater, Columbia University. Sucker. In 1924, MGM was created, and they adapted Dietz's logo for their own use. The first lion was named Slats, and he was the star of the show. But he didn't roar, as he was a chill lion who was more into people watching than eating them. Slats was eventually replaced in 1928 by Jackie. This lion gave an audible roar, exciting audiences all over the world like when you jingle keys in front of a baby. In the 1920s, people were most likely breaking prohibition laws, and so it was a bunch of drunk people amused by a roaring lion on screen. Jackie was also a diva and appeared in numerous movies like Tarzan, so this lion was a bigger celebrity than most people of the time and was earning a bigger paycheck. Coffee was the first lion to be used in color versions of the logo. Then came along Tanner, who was used in films from 1935 to 1956. After that, we had George, and we hugged him and bent him and squeezed. Whoops, wrong George. The lion we know and love today is named Leo. He was also the youngest lion to be used, which can be seen by his smaller mane. Don't worry, buddy, it'll grow.
When I grow up, I want to stick my head through a circle at the beginning of movies and roar.
Paramount. In 1912, Paramount Pictures was founded, and they were a teensy-weensy production company. Well, even the smallest seed can grow into something massive, and Paramount pretty much dominates the world now. Oh wait, that's Disney. More on that later. Anyway, Paramount can be identified with its mountain image and the 24 stars that surround the Paramount lettering. What better way to show that you're a badass than using a symbol that's large and strong? The logo has stayed pretty much the same over the numerous decades, but it has evolved into different versions during that time. But what is the mountain? Some might think it's the infamous Matterhorn. However, it's the Ben Lomond Mountain. Supposedly, it was first drawn on a napkin. Why this random mountain? It was important to William Wadsworth Hodgkinson, who created Paramount Pictures. So there's some sentimental value there. The first logo was created using film techniques, and the 24 stars around the mountain represent the actors and actresses that first signed to the company to create movies. The second version of the logo in 1952 moved the focus to more of the mountaintop. Instead of using filming techniques, this logo was painted. The third and most recent version of the logo was introduced in 1987 and was used with CGI techniques. If Paramount should ever choose to change their logo, it might prove disastrous to the company since they've had it for so long. Warner Brothers. So, unlike the other logos we've seen here, Warner Bros. Has gone through hundreds of versions of their iconic shield logo. We're not going to cover them all because we have a life and other things to do, like play with our cats, or dogs, or lemurs. While the logo has gone through multiple versions, the vision has remained the same. There is a shield floating in the clouds with the letters WB inscribed. The first version of the logo dates back to the 1920s and featured a shot of the studio alongside the WB letters. In the 1930s, lettering took over the shield like the upcoming alien invasion that's inevitable. When Kinney Services bought Warner Brothers in the 70s, they changed the logo style and coloring to a red and gold scheme with the tagline, "A Kinney National Company." To be honest, this logo looks like it's more suited for a gas station or a late-night sketchy diner. In the mid-70s, Saul Bass completely changed the logo to make a W out of 3 lines. Ironically, this design was eventually used as the logo for the Warner Music Company. Eventually, thanks to the Hollywood version of Evolution, we have the iconic logo we have today, and it does look a lot nicer than the dive bar version that we were treated to in the 70s. 20th Century Fox. From the moment you hear the first few beats, you know exactly which logo is coming up. You've probably even sung a bad rendition of it with you trying to do every instrument. Admit it, we know your secret. Let's just say that this Hollywood studio seemed to have gotten it right the first time, which is why it probably hasn't seen that many revisions besides a few touch-ups. The original iconic logo was painted in 1933 by Emil Cosa Jr., and then in 1935, the Fox was changed to Pictures. After 20th Century Pictures bought the company in 1953, Ricky Mongo repainted the logo once CinemaScope came into play. The original song, which only had trumpets and drums, had strings added to the famous tune. This logo would remain until 1981, and CinemaScope was added as a separate card. In 1981, the logo was altered with the zero being straightened out. Otherwise, things stayed the same. Then in 1994, the logo was redone in CGI and it included a sweep around the logo that featured the Hollywood sign and storefronts featuring names of Fox executives. The music also got a touch-up. We've had the current logo since 2009 and it was created by Blue Sky Studios, which is owned by the Fox company. Disney. Walt Disney started his production company as a dream and his only tool was a drawing board. The man was nearly broke and meeting a lot of rejection until he and his wife finally came up with the character of Mickey Mouse. This man is the iconic example of what happens when dreams come true, and apparently world domination was the unexpected part of it all. There are Disney parks all over the world. There are movies coming out on a regular basis, and Disney has maintained an iconic presence in our lives and society. One of Disney's earliest logos was a revolving, color-changing outline of Mickey Mouse, the company's most famous and beloved character. Then in the 90s, we got the emerging image of Cinderella's castle, with magical sounding music and an arching line over the castle. It was blue, it was sparkly, and kids ate it up. Of course, Disney has had its share of controversy, but they have always managed to rise on the top, whether it was through settling out of court or just keeping quiet. The latest version of the logo is a beautiful CGI castle with the finest details like balconies, a moat, plus fireworks. If that doesn't pump you up for Disney magic, I don't know what will. With the latest innovations in movie technology, we'll probably see a new version of the logo in a few years. Because Disney is always changing with the times, unlike some people's taste in fashion. Pixar. Speaking of Disney, we can't talk about Uncle Walt and Mickey Mouse without mentioning Pixar. So we can pretty much blame Pixar for the latest changes in movies and bringing us nothing but CGI movies these days. To be fair, they were the game changer for movies and created an entire new genre of storytelling. Of course, some of us older folks still yearn for more hand-drawn movies. Our support group meets every Thursday night. Anyway, Pixar is a young company, so their logo hasn't gone through as many revisions as the older studios. Pixar does earn the award for having the cutest opening sequence in their logo. The little lamp stomps on the I in the word Pixar before completely squashing it and looking sheepishly at the audience. The lamp has a name. His name is Luxo Jr., and he is from the first animated short that Pixar created years earlier. The story was that Luxo Jr. wanted to play ball with his dad, a bigger lamp named Luxo Sr. The ball is accidentally deflated before dear old dad brings in a bigger and better beach ball. If the ball is familiar, as well as the beach ball, your eyes aren't playing tricks on you. Pixar incorporates those balls somewhere in each of their movies. Hey, stop laughing. We are grown and mature adults that don't laugh at childish jokes like balls. United Artists. United Artists was founded on February 5th, 1999 by famous actors like Mary Pickford, Charlie Chaplin, and Douglas Fairbanks. You might have heard of them. If you haven't, you need to visit some old movies and really appreciate how far we've come. Okay, I'll step off the soapbox. Anyway, United Artists has been around for almost 100 years, which means its logo has been through a bunch of changes. The first logo was simple. It had the words United Artist inside a hexagon and was black and white. This actually remained as the logo until 1967, so this simple creation proved that it was timeless and had some massive longevity, unlike my favorite TV show. In 1967, Transamerica bought the studio, and the new logo was much different with a ton of color and shapes. In 1969, the logo changed once again, but the color was taken away. The background was black with white lettering, and then a blue lined T appearing next to the word United Artists. Then from 75 to 65, there was a brief change that only had the name of the studio in gold letters with a blue background. Also, in 1975, the black and blue style returned, but the blue T disappeared as the company was sold to MGM. Then, the logo went through designs with just two letters, UA. From 1994 to 2000, we had the name in gold letters with a marble background, and then after that, the traditional UA style came back. So if that felt like a hot mess, it kinda is. Unlike the other logos, there wasn't any clear consistency with the logo until recently. Columbia. Columbia Pictures was founded in 1919, and it was sort of the redhead stepchild on the film industry of the time. The studio was originally started by two brothers named Harry and Jack Cohn, alongside Joe Brandt, and called Cohn Brandt Cohn Film Sales. Because their movies were made with a low budget, the studio was nicknamed Corned Beef and Cabbage. See the joke? Those big studios were mean. Can you imagine being called that on the playground? We're sure Columbia probably felt some embarrassment over the whole ordeal. In 1924, Brandt was bought out by the Cohn brothers, and the studio was renamed to Columbia Pictures. But where does the Torch Lady come in? Columbia is the female embodiment of America and was used as a toponym for the 13 colonies. Aw, how historic. In the early stages, the Torch Lady was never identified, even though many women claimed to be her. It was like a Hollywood version of trying to find Anastasia Romanoff, but without talking bats. The Torch Lady we know and love today was designed in 1993 by Michael J. Diaz, and her name is Jenny Joseph. But here's a fun fact. While Diaz designed the model based on Joseph, he didn't use her face. Instead, he created his own version of what her face should look like. We sincerely doubt that the studio's success was riding on the Torch Lady's appearance, and Joseph's face would have been more than fine for the finished product. Universal. Universal Pictures was founded in 1909 by Carl Lamb, and the studio is considered to be one of the big dogs in the movie industry. With a reputation that spans over 100 years, it shouldn't be a surprise. Universal shows a lot of pride in their work through their logos. For a time, their opening segment was a run-through of all the studio's logos up until the present, and it was all mixed with emotional music to really evoke those feelings. The first logo lived from 1914 to 1919, and it had a globe with a ring around it, making the logo look a bit like the planet Saturn. Then, from 1920 to 22, the ring was tilted and the logo went through a bit of a redesign. From 1923 to 26, the logo incorporated the planet Earth with Universal Pictures acting as the ring. No, we don't mean The Ring with the creepy ghost girl coming out of the well. From 1927 to 36, the globe remained with the words "A Universal Picture" written on it with a plane flying around it. From 1936 to 46, a plexiglass logo was built that had all the lights and pizzazz that you'd expect from the glitz and glam of Hollywood. Then things got boring when Universal merged with International Pictures Company. The logo from 1946 to 63 was a black and white logo with the words Universal International, and that was it. Then, thankfully, in 1963, we got the hint of the iconic globe with the words Universal fading in. And then in 1990, we got a hit of the sun as the globe rotated. In 97, CGI came into play with the same sequence, but this time we saw lights and the continents. Then, in 2012, we got the 100th anniversary logo in all of its celebration wonder. DreamWorks. When you look at the DreamWorks logo, you might get feelings of comfort, magic, and maybe even yearn for a nap. Like United Artists, DreamWorks got its beginnings with a crew of pretty famous people who had their stuff together. Famous director Steven Spielberg, record producer David Geffen, and Disney chairman Jeffrey Katzenberg got together to create the DreamWorks studio in 1994. Now, if you really haven't heard of these guys, then go to the corner and think about what you've done. For real this time. Spielberg wanted the logo to evoke feelings from the golden age of Hollywood and wanted a man in the moon idea. Initially, he was going to get a computer-generated image of a man fishing from the moon, but then it was suggested to Spielberg that the logo be hand-painted. So he commissioned artist Robert Hunt to do the job. After he finished, he created an alternate version of the logo with his son William included in the art. This created the famous version with a young boy fishing on the crescent moon. As we all have probably figured out, Spielberg liked this version better, and it became a permanent addition to DreamWorks. The first version of the logo was a simple silhouette. Then, the second incarnation was the dreamlike clouds and dark blue sky with the lit-up logo. The current logo is set in the daytime, and DreamWorks is in colorful letters. There's sure to be more versions of the logo in the future, and I'll be watching them intently with a microscope. Thanks for joining us! Do you now feel powerful and smarter than the average bear now that you know these epic backstories? Tell us in the comments. If you want your life to be even wackier, then subscribe to our channel and check out these other videos from our epic channel. Until next time.